Hi everyone, welcome back for chapter 24. Oh wow, May said, staring at Meghan, who wouldn't look at her. But it wasn't your fault, it was your father. He couldn't believe it, Meghan shouted, still not looking. I told him exactly what had happened, that I had performed the magic, not her. But he wouldn't accept that I had done such things, and for that she paid with her life. Well, that's completely tragic, May said. But apart from all that, I don't really see where all the beating up on yourself comes in. Meghan turned her eyes, burning a deep yellow. Consequences are consequences, whether you expect them or not, and I must live with the fact that I caused her death. She shook her head slowly. I cannot see my human prince. I have moved on. Anything I felt for him, it is past. May sighed. Listen, she said in her most sympathetic voice. I feel for you. I really do. But it's time to put on your big girl pants and get over yourself. Meghan looked up at her, her eyes wide. I'm sorry? You should be, May shouted, the fake sympathy pretty much forgotten. Honestly, couldn't care any less about all this tragic Prince Mermaid love. I just want to save thousands of fairies before they all get burned by dragonfire. But I can see how your problems are much more important than their lives. That is none of my concern, Meghan said and turned away again. You know, I would have asked the sea witch, May said quietly, but she isn't exactly around to help me now, is she? Why is that again? Then there it was, a gilt card 10 miles high by an infinite miles long. Meghan, meanwhile, slowly turned to look at her, appearing to have some trouble forming words. She was so in shock, and May didn't blame her. If May had been Meghan, she would have hit her May self over and over with her bright green tail. But May wasn't Meghan, and she was May. And May had things to take care of. The last thing she was going to do was just leave those fairies to die, all because she'd released the sea wicked queen back into the world. You're right, Meghan said quietly. I'm what? May said, a bit distracted by her own guilt. Meghan shook her head. You're right. It's not for me, the sea witch. If not for me, the sea witch would have been here now to choose whether to return to her people and save them all. Perhaps this was her chance to reconnect with her family, and maybe I could begin to make up for what I did to her. Yes, you could, May said, and I like where you're going with this. But maybe let's not forget who's really at fault here, namely your father, the crazy guy with the Triton. Instantly, Meghan's hands flew through the coral bars and grabbed May by her shirt and then yanked her hard against the coral. The mermaid pulled her own head into the bars, with fangs bared and her eyes blazing. She stared right into May's soul. You will not say such things about the king of the world. May nodded quickly, the water suddenly dropping in temperature about 50 degrees. And that was a drop of 50 degrees Celsius, which she really had no idea how to convert, but she knew it meant it was way colder. If you so much as raise your voice about my father again, I will abandon those fairies and whatever deity they worship, Meghan told May softly, then slowly let loose her grip on May's shirt and dropped her back to the seafloor. Right, May said, her pulse racing a marathon. Nothing but compliments for your dad from here on. So, speaking of the other thing, how about you just magic me and my friends straight to the fairy homelands then? No magic, Meghan said, glancing around. My father would know. That is why the sea witch had her lair so far from his palace. But even that was not safe, not with him on guard against your little friend the eye. Now we must get closer to land. That's where I did my own magic the first time, just to be sure he didn't find out. Which he obviously never did, so that plan was foolproof, May said. It wasn't the magic that alerted him, girl, Meghan said, bending over to pick up an overly large piece of coral. It was the young merman who followed me out of concern, then told my father for the same reason. She sighed, fitting the coral between the bars of the cell. He's not going to be happy about this either. Things started to fall into place. That Mako guy? Meghan nodded. It was a long time ago, and I knew he had good intentions. I've come to forgive him now. But it was years before I could even look at him, and years past that before I could develop feelings for him. Maybe less of a soap and more of the opera, May said. We'll get you back up to Bluebeard, who can take us to land, where you can sing us to the fairy homelands and everyone's happy. Bluebeard is waiting for you, correct? Meghan said. May nodded, and Meghan continued. If my father learned that Bluebeard was even on the seas again, let alone this close, whether I intended to return to the human world or not, it would mean war and terrible deaths on both sides, she glared at May. No one must know about this. Do you understand me? With that, she braced the coral and then pushed as hard as she could. The coral bars exploded apart, and Meghan knocked the remaining bits out of the way as May watched in awe. Each of those coral bars had felt like solid rock to May. How strong were mer people? So, keeping a low profile is definitely on the plus side, May said, but there are two small leggish problems to deal with. She kicked at her legs and wiggled them at Meghan as she pointed them out. Stop that, Meghan said with a disgusted look. It looks a bit unseemly. May stopped immediately, raising a questioning eyebrow. But your prince has legs. I tried not to look, Meghan sniffed. Regardless, we can cover your shame with a formal dress. You have dresses long enough to cover your tails? May asked. It seemed odd at first, but why wouldn't they? It's not like their feet needed to touch the ground for any reason. Really, the dresses could be... Meghan handed her a bundle tied in seaweed. This one is about around 40 fins long. May stared at the bundle in the same way that Meghan had stared at her kicking legs. Right, so where are we going? To the Sea Witch's old home in the palace. I thought you said... Meghan sighed loudly. She performed her magic in her cave. You really think a civilized person would live in such a dank, colorless place? May started to say something about how she thought all fish lived in caves, then decided it might be better to actually shut up for a second. Meghan watched her warily and then continued. We need the Sea Witch's songbooks if I am going to find the magic that you say we'll need. After we find them, we will go free your other human friends. We do not have much time. When an hour has passed and my father realizes that you have escaped, he won't stop until he's flayed the skin from your bones like human fishermen crudely do to marine life. May swallowed hard. You were a lot cuter in the cartoon, you know. And that ends chapter 24. I'll see you guys later.